Hi, this is Richard Flax at MoneyFarm, talking about some of the things that have caught our attention over the past couple of days. Markets have started the week on a relatively positive note, driven primarily by signs that rates of infection are beginning to slow across a range of markets. Whether this becomes a trend is still very much up for debate, but it does seem that the policy actions, particularly in terms of locking down large swathes of the global economy, is beginning to have an impact on rates of infection. What's still very unclear, though, is how long it will take before policymakers feel comfortable beginning to reopen their economies even a little bit. And when they do, what will happen to potential rates of reinfection? We've already seen in parts of Asia that attempts to reopen these economies have seen at least a little bit of an increase in incidence of infection of the coronavirus. And that'll be a challenge potentially for policymakers across the globe. The other consideration is, even as we begin to think about the timescale for beginning to reopen these economies, sometime perhaps towards the end of this quarter, how much damage has been done, not just in the short term to the global economy, but also to corporate balance sheets, to highly leveraged households and companies around the world. And that's still very much to play out. Governments have done a lot in terms of trying to backstop companies, but as we've seen with very high rates of unemployment already beginning to kick in the US, the considerations here remain very unclear. So it's good to see that infection rates are coming down. From a financial markets perspective, we're seeing volatility in equities also beginning to drift down on a pretty sustained basis from the highs that we saw a couple of weeks ago. But there are still a lot of questions to be answered about the shape of the recovery and when that recovery will start. So it'll remain a volatile time, but the indications are trending a little bit in the right direction at the moment. Still early days, a lot of questions still to answer, particularly about debt levels across the world. But the trend is clearly a little bit more positive than we saw even a couple of weeks ago. Thank you for joining, and look forward to speaking to you again soon.